Yo,
All right, welcome. We are here, Columbia Crew Fantasy Football Podcast. Jesse and Graham coming at you. We're going to do a not so long podcast tonight. We're going to cover the two matchups that are kicking off our playoff week. We got Scorp Speed and 8 Ball, Graham versus Eric, and then we have Mr. Magic versus the Bidness, which is me versus Lenny. So we're going to have some fun with it. How you doing, Graham?
doing great. We're gonna have a no bias opinion here on these matchups. We're gonna be open and honest with our teams.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're just going to look at this impartially and just kind of give it a fair rating. Although I have to say, I mean, it's probably going to be our favorite podcast of the season because it involves you and me, which, let's be honest, that's
right.
both of our favorite topics.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I kind of want to start with your matchup versus Eric, man. It's predicted to be Eric on Yahoo has a 62% win rate. That can't be accurate based on what I'm looking at. So let's go over the offensive matchups and see what we see.
Yeah, well, I mean, like looking at Eric, I mean, he's got the ace of spades, man. Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is the guy that just can carry a team in real life and carry a team in fantasy. I mean, this guy's, if you look at his weeks, he's got 67, 66, 85, 67s, 56, 55s. I mean, like, this guy does not have a bad day. Against, Cincinnati, he had 37 points. Indianapolis, he had 40 points. But this guy is just consistent.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
And they are giving him a 20-point benefit there. Or they've got him at 61, and they've got your guy Tua at 41.
Yeah, but interesting. So
it.
Tua played. He played Houston 2 weeks ago, and Tua put up 40 points, and then they benched him for the entire fourth quarter.
Well, that would make me nervous. You're exactly right, because if I'm Eric and I'm starting Mahomes, on paper it looks great, but when you're going against Houston, is Mahomes going to even make it halfway through the third quarter?
Yeah. So right? if I'm making recommendations to Eric, I think you bench Mahomes. I think you put in, like maybe Baltimore quarterback, whoever that might be. I mean, do you really want to risk it with Mahomes, Eric?
It's funny. Let's see what quarterbacks are out there. If Eric wanted to just get crazy and pick up a quarterback and sit Mahomes, honestly, like I would actually potentially think about it, because I'd be so worried that he'd put up 40 points, they'd be up by 30 and they would pull him. And I would consider, I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Andy Dalton thrown against Atlanta with a rookie quarterback. I mean, there's guys out there that might put up 50 for you. You got Heineke. He's got to win the game against the Giants. Who knows?
Daniel Jones is out there. I mean, like, can you imagine if he did that and he won? And that would just be crazy. That'd be funny.
Yeah, that would make you a little bit bitter. But then when I look at your to me, the strength of your squad, at this point right now in the season, I mean, to have Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill, that to me are two major advantages over his receivers, Watson and even Smith for Philly, who's really good. But I mean, Stephon Diggs he's amazing.
Yeah, he's had a couple off weeks, but he is a focal point of that offense, which is great. I think that the problem with Philly is that they're so dynamic and so good that they're not. Again, if they get into a game where it's up 28-0, like there's no more wide receiver play, and right. that leads to my advantage of Miles Sanders.
Exactly.
So if Philly can beat Chicago, which Chicago is kind of throwing the towel in, that means Miles Sanders is going to get a lot of touches.
A lot of work. Yeah, I was thinking that too, because it seems to me like this is the kind of game that Philly's just going to run it straight down Chicago's throat and just shut it out by the third quarter. The other thing is Philly has so many weapons that you can't always rely on your guy getting a lot. I mean, he may blow up, but he may get 3 looks, and so it's tough.
Flip side of that for Sanders has a lot of touchdowns taken away by Jalen Hurts. So a lot of times that ball would be handed off to a running back. Jalen Hurts is just taking that to himself. He's like, hey, I got this. It's like, you relax.
Yeah, but you know
That's-
what? Yeah, and I mentioned Miles Sanders kind of being like hit or miss sometimes. I think I texted that out to the group, like he's either
yeah,
scoring you over 30 or he's scoring you like 9. But I think that Jalen takes over in the close games where they really need to pull out a win. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And then he starts running and in this game, man, I don't think it's going to be that close. I think he's going to be fine just handing it off over and over again. So I would love that play if I were you, Miles
yeah,
Sanders there.
yeah. And looking at Eric, he's got Mixon and Pollard is one of these guys that,
Mm.
again, can just put up some monster numbers. He just had some great games this year, 40, 23, 20, 37. I mean, he can just go after him.
Unbelievable. If I had to pick any running back to have on my squad, like for this week in the playoffs, Pollard would be in my top 3 probably.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd rather be starting Pollard than Christian McCaffrey tonight on a Thursday night, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And let me just say for those that are probably watching this tomorrow, we're going to be recording this while the game's going on. We have no idea what's happening. We don't have our TVs on. I can't make any references to my players and how they're doing on Thursday night, so we're not watching. We'll catch up with it after this podcast. But yeah, Mixon and Pollard's a good strength for him. I think Mixon's been a little bit disappointing this year. His last month, he's only played 2 weeks and he's put up 9 points and 13 points, but he had that huge week in week 9 versus Carolina where he scored 5 touchdowns and put up 60 points. So, I mean, the guy's capable of exploding. You just don't know,
Yeah. And look, Cincinnati's looking good. I mean, Cincinnati is playing well as a team. And I think that teams, when they play well, they become more balanced, right? The better teams are more balanced in that part. So we'll see how that goes. They're playing against Tampa Bay, which, is reeling. So I think that's a chance for them to kind of get after it.
Yep. On the flex spot, I like Dobbins came back last week after injury, like he was never gone. So that was a huge pickup for you last week. Very savvy. He wasn't even on my radar, to be honest. And then he's got Pittman in the flex. And I'll just be honest, I wouldn't be excited about anyone on that Indianapolis offense.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy how that how it's gone so south so fast for Indianapolis.
Now that being said, it's Thursday. He's got time. He could put in Christian Kirk in there. He's on his bench. He could put in Swift for Detroit. He's also got Williams, the Detroit rookie, at receiver. So he could make some switches there. But
I think for me, like if Kadarius Toney, who is he is the modern day Sammy Watson.
So much talent.
And then hamstring injuries all the time.
Yep.
So if Toney puts up practice numbers the next 2 days, if he's in practice, I might put in instead of Dobbins. We'll see. And Burks really is just sitting there for next year. Burks is going to be my keeper next year. So I feel like Tennessee is he'll get more playing time. So I'm keeping him on my bench for next year for sure. He had 1 catch, I think, 2 weeks ago, where his 1 catch, 25-yard touchdown, and a concussion. So it was like, he was the player there. But I will jump into the defense side. So this guy,
I don't want to neglect that because that saved your ass last week. Talk about your defensive moves and why you were excited about that.
Yeah, so I was watching the game Buffalo versus New England, and Marcus Jones made a play, and it was like he made a 45-yard touchdown. They were like, "Oh, he plays defensive back," and I was like, "Oh, Belichick's doing one of these things again." So I went and looked at those numbers, and you can't find the return yards for defensive players in the Yahoo stats. You can find return yards for offensive players. So I went to Pro Football Fantasy and looked up all the return yards and looked under defensive backs. And he was like the top guy.
Wow.
Return yards, defensive backs. And then I looked at his fantasy points. I was like, why is this so high? And it's because of return yards. I mean, the guy is putting up some serious yards.
That's a huge sign. That's a little gem in the rough that you found, man. Or maybe not even in the rough, just kind of underneath the current,
Yeah. And then I looked at the other guy I got on bye last week was Kayshawn Nixon, who also he's a cornerback, but he's putting up these mad return yards. And so if you get a couple tackles and you get 80 yards returning, like that's a solid number.
Yeah.
Rather than like most cornerbacks might give you, if they break up a couple passes, they might give you 6 points. I mean, this guy's so Marcus Jones put up 24 points and won me the game. And I was feeling really confident. And then he made the interception. I was like, oh man, I'm good. So I feel happy about the 2 those defensive spots.
Yeah. And then you got Isaiah Simmons, who's been just a beast at linebacker all year. You got Crosby at defensive end, who's probably one of the best. You got a solid squad, man, at
Yep.
defense.
And then-
I like some of his players too. Milano,
TJ Watt.
Anzalone for Detroit. Those guys, I had Milano on my team for a while. I had to drop him on a bye week, and then he snagged away from me. I mean, Milano's just a good producer. And Quay Walker for Green Bay has been playing really well. And
Yeah.
TJ Watt at linebacker. So he's got decent guys there too.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be a lot closer than Yahoo looks at. I feel like yeah, I don't, I feel like Mahomes is gonna go off, and it's up to, or it's really, Tua has been inconsistent. Can Tua keep up? And, I think it's gonna be, I think this is a closer to a 50-50 matchup than it is 60-30 either way.
Yeah. I'd be worried about Tua if I were you. Like, if you lose this game, it could be because of Tua. The last 2 weeks would have me a little bit nervous right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what happens, I think, with players end of the season when other teams start scheming against them.
Yeah.
They know Tua's not going to run. They know he wants to throw the ball. They know he's got the concussion issues.
Yeah.
And so what's happened from what I'm watching and hearing, the teams are taking away the middle of the field. They're like, beat us on the outside. Or like if Tyreek catches the ball, he goes out of bounds. But when Tyreek catches the ball in the middle, he's gone.
Yeah. And
so
they're dropping those
that.
linebackers deeper. And
Yeah.
they're kind of giving him the short stuff. He doesn't really want the real short stuff.
Yeah. And the running backs from Miami haven't been doing anything. Jeff Wilson and Mostert haven't been doing anything. So it's interesting. Like teams catch up quickly. But we'll see. I mean, if you look at Tua, he's had just 3 bad weeks after the bye. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's got that Christian Watson guy at receiver who all he does is seems to catch touchdowns. We'll see if that keeps up on Monday night. But yeah, good stuff, man.
Well, make a prediction. Make a prediction.
Yeah, Graham, I'll be honest with you. Like, as I look at this, if Mahomes was playing, say, Buffalo, I would feel confident that he was going to put up 60 plus points. But because he's not, and because I think that you have strengths at the skill positions that go beyond his, I think you're going to beat him by about 15 to 20 points. Even if Pollard does really well for him, I think you have the advantage with your receivers and with Sanders. He would really need Mahomes to go off to keep him in this, to balance that out. And I don't think Mahomes is going off this week. I don't think he needs to. This could be actually the week that Pacheco comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's on Ski's team now, but this could be the week that Pacheco just, runs for 190 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. So
what do you think? Who do you think's going to win it?
I'm very confident in my team. I think that all the numbers say that I can win this game, right? Here's the deal. Week 5, I beat Scorp Speed. Week 14, I beat Scorp Speed. And the old adage, like in football, it's tough to beat a team 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
So even though it has nothing to do with anything I'm doing or anything Eric's doing, it's all fantasy. Still, the football gods, the sports gods that are out there might kind of say, you know what? You only get 2.
and honestly, we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we can try to predict, but I mean, the craziest stuff happens. But yeah. I think I give you the advantage on this one. If I had to put money down on it, I'd pick you. And since we both are picking the same squad in this matchup, we won't place any huge financial bets on this. Let's see how we feel about the next matchup.
That's right. Well, it's going to really screw me up is when Pacheco gets run over by a car on Sunday morning and Mahomes has to play the whole fucking game and they win like 75-30, something stupid.
Or maybe Houston surprises and stays in it like they did last week against Dallas. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe we can have confidence now. So, all right. So let's move on to your matchup here.
Okay. Well, look, I like my quarterback situation a lot this week, and I think that's giving me some comfort. Herbert has Mike Williams back. And I watched Herbert play every snap of last week's game with big Mike back. He's so much better when he has both those receivers. And even though his offensive line doesn't protect him much, when he's got both those guys on the field, he looks like a star, man. So I'm so happy they're healthy, and I pray they stay healthy, because if they do, I think he's going to put up 50 plus, maybe 60.
Here are his last 3 weeks attempts: 47 throws, 47 throws, 51 throws. It's a lot of attempts.
Yeah.
Completions 35, 28, 39. That's a lot of completions. I mean, so that's these points. And like it's just the touchdowns come. A missed tackle here, missed tackle there, touchdowns come. One touchdown last week, one the week before that. But when you're throwing the ball 40 times or completing 40 passes, good things happen. A lot of good things happen.
Yeah. And I give myself the advantage there, maybe a 10 to 15 point advantage, which is huge. And Lawrence has been looking better and better. He's looking good, but he's still prone to giving you the occasional 30-something point game. I mean, he is. He has these bad games. And so look, he could put up 50. It's not outside the realm of possibility that Trevor Lawrence puts up 50, but I see him putting up more like 40, like Yahoo's predicting here. So
yeah.
So that makes me happy. My receivers, Graham, I would normally say I have a better receiving squad than anyone in the league. I love my receivers. The Sun God, the Penguin, Big Mike Williams. I got Higgins on the bench. I can put him in if I want to. I mean, normally. But I got to tell you, man, every week the past month, one of these guys has gone down. It hasn't even given me a point. And so it's been really frustrating that these guys that I love have not been producing for me like I want them to the past month, and that makes me nervous.
I mean, Waddle gave you 5 last week and 2 the week before that. I mean, that's
awful.
And he's a 1,000-yard receiver, and he put up 3 catches in 2 weeks. It's crazy.
And that's partly because of Tua's struggles too.
Yeah. But you do have that QB wide receiver combo that I think is really great when you've got that. When Herbert throws to Williams, that's a 12-point, 14-point hit, right? And that's really nice when you have those together.
That's partly why I wanted him, and I'm happy to have him. He went off for me last week, and even though I didn't win, he was a bright light on my team, having just acquired him. Higgins is just on my bench, man. We'll see how he is, but I mean, so normally I would love my receivers right now. I'm nervous about them. And so how do they stack up to CeeDee Lamb, Lockett, and Wilson? I'd call it a pretty even matchup there, kind of a draw, because I don't even know how my guys are going to do, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like Wilson as a player. I don't know if I like him as a fantasy player. Like, I feel like Wilson's one of those guys that, his talent is supreme, but he's a rookie in a bad situation.
Yep.
I think CeeDee Lamb is the kind of guy that, again, if Dallas gets out to a big lead, he does nothing but watch the game. But I do like going to running backs. I do like Eckler and Jacobs, man. I feel like Eckler gets a lot of touches. Obviously, if Herbert's throwing the ball 50 times, 10 of those are going to Eckler, right?
Yep. Eckler's an amazing player, and Jacobs has been amazing this year, and he's definitely got the advantage at running back.
Yeah. And Jacobs is playing like a guy who wants a contract. So,
McCaffrey is kind of my first round pick, my guy, and he's been very good this year. Has he been like the number 1 overall pick? Not really, compared to the way some of these other guys have gone off. And then I've got Najee, who is probably almost guaranteed for 13 to 15 points. So he's kind of just like an average number 2. I could put Travis Etienne in there against Dallas. But we'll see. I'll figure that out by Sunday.
Yeah, I feel like Najee's one of those guys. Like, once Pittsburgh gets a quarterback situation, he's going to be first draft pick. He's going to be the guy who can really do it. But right now, the quarterback situation there in Pittsburgh is terrible. So
it's an awful offense, and he's getting over that Liz Frank, which he's over now, and he has been playing better the past month. But it's been a tough year for him. At tight end, again, I got to give Lenny a major advantage. Kittle's a great player, but they've been using him to block a lot this year. Now, my hope for tonight is that Debo's out for the rest of the season, or at least a month or so. So my hope is they've got to rely on McCaffrey and Kittle more than they have been, right? So I'm hoping Kittle's used in the passing game a little bit more without Debo, because they love. In the last 5 weeks, I think he went over 10 points for me once, because they're using him to block so much, which is just heartbreaking.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And
then your flex, you got Olave, which, again, supremely talented. Olave is like Wilson; they got a lot of talent, but bad quarterback situation.
Yep.
But then Keenan Allen. So if you Herbert's making if here's how Lenny wins. If Herbert and Allen connect all day,
Yep.
right? Is it like Herbert has a decent day, but Allen gets a bulk of those catches, right?
Yeah.
And they make that up. So
Yeah,
that's
this is going to be tough for me because initially I thought, well, my advantage is my quarterback is going to be doing so much better and scoring a lot of points. But if my quarterback's doing really well, that means Eckler and Allen could be doing really well too, and
yeah,
that's going to hurt me.
yeah. It's an
I,
interesting situation for sure because there's gonna be a lot of passes to those guys.
This is tough. I think as I'm analyzing the offensive side of this, I got to give Lenny the advantage just because I like his running backs better. And I think that my quarterback's excellent and going to be throwing to his guys a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. I think you're going to put up maybe 50, 60 points, but how much of those points are going to his guys, right? Eckler and Keenan Allen.
Now, it doesn't matter if my guys on the skill side match that.
Sure. Yeah.
But are they going to? I don't know. Lenny's got the advantage on offense, and it's killing me.
Yeah.
So on defense, I don't know. What do you think about Lenny's defensive squad?
I mean, he's got some names there. I mean, he's got your boy Raekwon. I tried to trade from you all last year like 25 times.
He's excellent.
I got rejected more than Rami DeAngelis rejected me in high school.
I didn't think that was possible, man. Wow.
Yeah, that was
yeah, that I think the funny thing is I think I liked Roquan better than Rami. I mean, me personally.
So, yeah.
But
he puts up better numbers, right?
But yeah. Good linebacker. You threw me off track. Now I'm not even thinking about football. Reminiscing. Jalen Ramsey. I think that Ramsey's actually getting picked on a little bit this year, so it's probably good to have him because he's going to get thrown at. And Hubbard's a great defensive end. I had him on my squad for a while. Myles Garrett, and I'm not sure how great Owens and Davis is. I don't know them enough off the top of my head to say how great they are.
Yeah. You got Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen's been doing great with Smith in there, so that's been he can go off on a game because Smith will take some tackles. So we'll see. I mean, that's he's put up 10, 12, 14-point games. The defense is just such a hit or miss on some of these guys. That's you need a touchdown, you need something kind of crazy. And I think you got. I feel like that's what happens later in the season. You have teams that are, maybe taking more risk.
I have found that a lot of times, if you can find good safeties that are in matchups with teams with amazing offensive lines and good running backs, for example, like I'll play a safety against Philadelphia all day long, even if it's an average safety, because those running backs, the hole's so wide open that the safeties are often called on to make those tackles and bring down those running backs. They get through that to that second level. And that's Elliott for Detroit has put up a lot of tackles for me this year. And this guy Sanborn, I picked up halfway through the year. I have no idea who he is. I think he's a rookie. He's been putting up crazy numbers. 16 points, 11 points, 14 points, 11 points, and then he had his bye, and it's like, I'll take that, So sometimes you just find these guys.
Maybe even looking at like, if you looked at something where it was like, your quarterback's playing Tennessee, right? So, look at like Tennessee's safety. That Herbert's going to throw a bunch of times. It's like, is Kevin Byard going to have a crazy game because there's 50 passes coming out of the backfield?
Right.
And he's had games, he's a 3-3, 9, 1, 6, 5, 7 type guy, but does he go get more because he's playing a team that throws the ball a lot? Andrew Adams, the other safety, maybe he's the guy. He's put up some good numbers. I mean, that's the thing is you look at like, okay, if they're going to throw the ball a lot, do I pick up the cornerback on that squad?
Yeah. And it takes the sting off when your quarterback, like, for example, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had a running back and he fumbled. And I was like, bastard, And then I realized the guy that caused the fumble and recovered it was also on my team. I was like, all right, I'll take that, So sometimes it evens out,
Did they high five each other after the game, like they're both on the team?
They both called me and they were like, look, man, we just wanted to hook you up, So as I look at this team, this matchup, and having having just looked at what we look at, I'm nervous, and I'm thinking that Lenny's probably got the advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, talking through it, I thought you'd be better, but as you talk through it, I feel like Lenny. It's really up to, I know, if Lawrence can just be a 45-point guy, if he can Lawrence just be average, if he's spectacular, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I need Lawrence to really crap the bed and put up like 32 points.
Yeah.
And I need, my guy to put up 60, and then I think it's gonna kind of make it a game. But if Lawrence puts up 50 and Herbert puts up 60 and 30 of them go to Eckler and Allen, I'm done.
Yeah.
It almost makes me want to start a new quarterback or something. Like, I'm kind of pissed,
Yeah.
But we'll see. All right, so we've got.
You start Daniel Jones and he puts up a 10 spot and you're like, fuck.
No, I told myself this was my mantra this year. You picked who you wanted. You've got this. You're gonna ride with your boys. You know what I mean? Like, you can't bench guys like, the Sun God and the Penguin just because they've had a couple bad weeks. You're in the playoffs now. If they crap the bed, they crap the bed. It's what happens. But I'm not going to find anyone better out there. This is my team,
Yeah.
And it is what it is, man.
What do you say? They dance for the one who brought you, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
All
right, so we've got Lenny moving on, and we've got Graham moving on. And if that happens, who would play who? Do we know?
I would play Buck Nasty, and Lenny would play Hammond.
Both those squads are good.
Yeah, they are. I mean, like, I love giving Hammond shit, but his team looks good. He's just, he's just consistent as fuck. Even this week, he's projected at 228. And Sarge is projected at 242. Like, that's projected. That's not like that's what Yahoo thinks. Like, that's crazy.
I know, and it could be higher. I think Hammond, his ceiling's so high because of those receivers. I think he had 200 points like at 3:00 last Sunday. It was like halfway through the second round of games, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, he's got a good squad. I mean, really, the hope is like I feel more confident going against Sarge than I go against Hammond if that were to happen. Because Sarge has. He's got Josh Allen, and I got Diggs, and the way I beat him the first time was Allen had a good game, but Diggs had a great game.
Yep, suck away those points.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. So next week we're going to spend a little more time because we've got a lot more matchups,
more games. Yeah,
right.
And so one of us or both of us might not have much of an opinion, or not have anything to talk about our teams. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to be professional though. And if I lose, I'm going to come in. I'm going to be cheery and excited about my brethren that are having fun in the playoffs while I'm out and fighting for 5th place. That's okay. I'm going to be professional about it. We're going to cover all the other teams, and you're going to be the same way if you lose.
That's right. All I know is my license plate ain't going to change for a year. Yours will, for the better.
And I'm very happy about that. Yeah, I want to see it on Craig's boat.
Oh man, that would just be great. Just be great. Big fucking pink plate. That boat. All right, so we got our predictions. The last thing is what player on each team is going to blow up. So looking at the matchups, like who is the player you go on each team.
All right, so who's going to go off this week? My prediction for blow up player in your matchup. Are we going to pick one for each team?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that the go-to on your team for me as a blow up player is going to be Miles Sanders against Chicago. I mean, I see him putting up like another 30-point game. Diggs, maybe, but it's being played in Buffalo. God knows what the weather is going to be like up there. And Tyreek Hill, who knows? He's capable of it, but they've been struggling in the throwing game. So I think for you, Sanders is kind of the clear, obvious choice of a blow-up player. Anyone else on your offense that you would think might be able to do it?
Yeah, I feel like this is a step on Diggs. It's a big game for Buffalo and Miami.
It is.
I feel that he's the kind of guy that could really do it. So Diggs is my guy.
Okay. I think that yeah. Yeah, I think Sanders is gonna put up more points than Diggs. You want to put $5 down on it?
Yeah, we got it. We got $5.
Okay.
All right, so we got Diggs, Sanders, $5, and then
Okay.
in
Scorp
the
speed
score
side.
speed,
Let's keep the betting going. You pick one first this time.
I got Pollard. Just having a, you know who I am game.
Okay. At Chicago, I don't like the weather. I know what we'll do. Let's say that Cleveland finally puts it together and goes off on Baltimore, and Cooper goes off.
Yeah.
I like your pick better, but just for fun, let's put another $5 on it. Cooper over Pollard.
All right.
Maybe I should have picked Mixon, but I have a feeling about Cooper this week.
All right. Then look at the next game. We got what are we looking at here?
Magic versus Business.
All right. I'll pick first, since you've picked first last time. I'll go with your squad.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Herbert's gonna go off. I feel like that guy's gonna put up 75. That's my
Well, I can't pick anyone that's going to beat quarterbacks points.
well, I mean, just in terms of, I think that what we'll do, I think we should do it. It's points over projection by percentage. How's that?
Okay, yeah. I like that. Okay, in that case, it's a Mike Williams kind of week, baby.
Right.
Honestly, and I really do believe that. I think Mike's really going to go off. Well above 12 points.
I think, are you frozen on my end? You look like you're frozen on my end.
Yeah, my face looks frozen actually. But can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah.
Okay, good.
No worries. Okay, the next game, you go. You pick one. You pick first here.
Okay, who's gonna outdo their prediction hugely? I'm gonna go CD Lamb.
Right. I'm going Josh Jacobs. I know he's going against New England, but I have a feeling $5. I got $20 on this.
Okay.
I got them written down and it's recorded too, so we're good.
All right, good, man. Let's have some fun watching some football this week. Good luck to you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. This is fun. At least we're not in the pink plate.
Exactly. I hope hey, maybe we'll meet in the finals.
Oh man. That'd be a long podcast. We have like a 3-hour podcast talking about each player.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Good stuff.
Man. Enjoy some football this weekend.
You too. I'll see you later.
Peace.
Bye.